Hello there to all my fellow new and returning Spirit Scouts. It is a special day today, especially for existing players and fans of the relaxing and adorable life sim Cozy Grove, because today, the sequel, Cozy Grove Camp Spirit, officially launches on iOS and Android through Netflix Games. Now, if you've been in just about any comment section regarding the new game since its announcement, including probably the one below my own video, I'm sure you've already seen what plenty of people had to say about it being a Netflix title. While I do plead you to hear me out, I will save my personal opinion on it until the end of the video, because I'm not here today to soapbox, even though I totally get that there are many players who wish it was available on all the same platforms as the original, and that they can play on familiar hardware, whether it be PC, console, or especially amongst prior Spirit Scouts, Nintendo Switch. However, there is more than one way to play Camp Spirit, and I'm honored to have partnered with Spry Fox as part of their Creator Program team and gotten early access to the game so that I can show you some of them today. From typical methods to more creative means of play that really take advantage of the flexibility for being a mobile game, hopefully there's something that you'd think would work well for you or at least ease the transition from your previous platform. First off is the most obvious and default method of just using your touchscreen. It works how you'd imagine, honestly. Thankfully, the general design of the game helps us out with its big blocky icons and buttons. The designers have also put in some thoughtful extra features and changes in Camp Spirit to further aid in accessibility and usability, including a zoom button that changes your view range, and items can now just be placed down where desired rather than needing to be aimed and tossed. If you have an iPad and an Apple Pencil, I'm happy to report that there is native support for it so you can get even more accurate and ergonomic taps. Interestingly though, although I didn't have either to actually show you, I still wanted to have something here as a visual aid. So I gave the Steam version a shot on this Dell Windows tablet that I have, and lo and behold, it actually does seem to work fine with the digital stylus that I have for it. Despite being the PC version, I noticed some subtle differences that seem to indicate it acknowledges being played on a touchscreen, such as the running tooltip on the loading screen having its wording changed to say tap and hold. The frame rate is evidently not so fine because this is a 10-year-old Intel Atom, but I'm genuinely curious if any of you have a more recent tablet or two-in-one with a digital stylus like a Microsoft Surface and the original version on Steam, give it a try and let me know how it does down below. If you don't like playing on a touchscreen, or your fingers keep getting in the way, or you purposely have a small device, or all of the above like myself, Camp Spirit does have controller support on both platforms. On both iOS and Android, there are quite a few different styles of controllers available, from more traditional console-style ones to side-mounted controls such as on this Bluetooth one that'll be more familiar for Switch or Steam Deck players. Just make sure to get one that's compatible with your phone, especially if you're on iOS. Android generally offers more flexibility for controllers, even more so if you're willing to plug in a USB adapter. I've tried multiple different ones such as this 360 controller, a PS3 DualShock 3, and a Logitech gamepad. Yes, the Logitech gamepad, and all of them worked great. Personally though, I played on Steam, so definitely the most familiar to me is still on a computer. Well, thankfully, you can play that way too. It's not natively supported on Steam unfortunately, but by using an Android emulator such as BlueStacks, you're still able to play Camp Spirit right on your PC or Mac. Best of all the controls that mouse and keyboard players of the original were used to, they still all work just like they did before. I was genuinely really happy that I was able to feel right at home playing this way, despite being what is technically a mobile game. There are a few quirks that I and some other early access folks ran into when getting BlueStacks set up, though these may be addressed through future updates, so I'll come back to this at the end of the video in case it's no longer relevant by the time you're watching. But if it's the method you choose on and you can't download the game via the BlueStacks Play Store or it renders upside down, then go to this timestamp on screen for more info on getting it going. Those are probably going to be the top common ways to play Camp Spirit, and it's already quite a variety. But I'll let you in on a bit of a technical secret. Well, it's not really that much of a secret. How do you think that the game is able to be played on BlueStacks just like the original on PC, despite being the Android version in an emulator? Yep, it may be a new game with new adventures and many improvements, but it's still built on top of essentially a PC port of the original underneath, and this is not a complaint, because not only is building a game from scratch a whole lot of work that's totally understandable, but thanks to this quirk, with a bit of creativity, I'm going to show you some more interesting ways to play that also really show what this game can do. Since you can play with a mouse and keyboard on BlueStacks just like the PC version, of course you can do the same on an actual Android phone or tablet. Simply connect them via USB or Bluetooth and off you go. By humorous extension of that, the same applies to Android devices with a built-in keyboard. So if you're one of the rare people who actually own a device like the Unihertz Titan or BlackBerry Key 2, you can indeed play the same way right on it. In addition to just using an adapter, most newer devices with USB-C are able to use a dongle such as this one to provide extra USB ports as well as an HDMI output to an external display. So if your phone supports it and you want the full desktop experience without an actual computer for some reason, there is totally nothing stopping you. Less ridiculous of a use and perhaps a substitute for the dock mode experience of a Switch, connect up a wireless controller and a big screen television, kick back warm and cozy, and enjoy. You can also do this via wireless screen mirroring rather than needing a cord and dongle, but mirroring usually adds considerable latency or lag. It's by no means a fast-paced game, but in my opinion, still not great in experience. Well, there are some of the many ways that you're able to play the new Cozy Grove Camp Spirit. Hopefully this is of some help to you guys who were on the fence about playing the game and giving it a try, didn't know about all these different control methods, and perhaps it can encourage you to give it a chance. There's a lot going on in the communities behind the game right now, and I am doing this just out of my own passion for them and appreciation for the people behind it, because I genuinely do believe that it is a good game, and there's a lot of passionate people at Spry Fox who are trying their best, and I think that it goes pretty well into, I promised I would give you my opinion, so here it is. They are a small indie studio, and it doesn't take much to look at the gaming industry these days and to see that far bigger players are still having a really hard time keeping the lights on and are going under left and right. And so yeah, as much displeasure as there is around the whole Netflix thing, you guys gotta understand that it wasn't an easy decision to make, and without this kind of funding behind it, then we wouldn't have Camp Spirit at all, and possibly we might not even have Spry Fox here with us at all anymore to give us these happy, cozy games and these kind of communities and everything else that they'll do into the future. So, as one of the best movie quotes that ever rang with me says, 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing. And that's why I'm doing my part to help, because I've seen a lot of people on social medias, Reddit, Twitter, the Discord, that had no idea about all these different methods and ways that you're able to play the game, and they don't really know how the game works anyway. So hopefully this is able to fill them in on that, because, all those who are lost deserve some kindness, right? Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and stick around if you need some help with BlueStacks, but otherwise, I wish you a warm welcome to Camp Spirit. I hope you have a nice and cozy stay, and until we meet next time, take care. Bye-bye! Alright, so the first thing that we were running into with installing BlueStacks for some of our users was that BlueStacks would install the 32-bit version, and this game does need the 64-bit version to run. So what I suggest doing is when you're downloading BlueStacks on their website, go into See All Versions, scroll down and choose specifically the either Pi or Android 11 64-bit version. Either of those will work. So once you have BlueStacks installed, you want to look in the top left corner here under BlueStacks App Player next to that long string of numbers, which is your version letter. It wants to say either P64 or Android 11. Those are the latest 64-bit versions as of the time of this video. If it says a letter and then 32, that's the 32-bit version, and it's not going to let you download Camp Spirit through the built-in Play Store because it's a 64-bit only app. Now, once you load into the game and get past the loading screen, you may run into the same problem that we did, which is the image rendered by the game engine itself is rendered upside down, despite the UI elements and everything else being the right way up. And we don't actually know what caused this problem just yet. The team's got to look into why OpenGL renders the engine upside down, but for the time being, there is a workaround we found by going to the bottom right, which is your settings menu, going into the graphics settings, and changing it from the default OpenGL graphics renderer to Vulkan. Although keep in mind, not all graphics cards will support Vulkan. Older integrated graphics definitely won't, and my 6700 XT required the latest drivers update before it would allow me to enable it. If you do have the option though, you can choose Vulkan, click Save Changes, and then BlueStacks will restart. Once BlueStacks restarts and you load back into the game again, you should see that, hey, that looks a lot better. Frame rate will be worse on Vulkan than in OpenGL, I have found personally, and again, not all graphics cards are going to support Vulkan, so your mileage may vary, And again, this might be fixed by the time you're watching this. I'm just putting it here just in case, as we did run into this issue and we found this workaround for it. The team's going to look into why the OpenGL renderer is rendering the game upside down though. But for the time being, if you managed to get yours going as well, then congratulations, you're playing Camp Spirit on your computer the right way up. Enjoy and have fun. That explains why it took so long to load every time I tried to open it up. That image I had up there, you want to know how big it is? This is the biggest single image, or single JPEG I've ever seen in my life. 38.4 megabytes. Jesus, that is wild.